Hello everybody, and thanks for checking out my review of the new Tudor Black Bay 41 released in 2023 in burgundy with the new METAS certified master chronometer caliber MT5602U movement. The version I'll be reviewing here is with the Oyster style bracelet that Tudor simply calls their 3-link bracelet equipped with the T-Fit extension. Tudor's a brand name that was registered by Hans Wilsdorf in 1926 and began manufacturing watches in the 1940s. The brand was conceived as a lower cost and more accessible alternative to the high-end Rolex. Early models used similarly designed watches as Rolex with third-party movements. They provided the Tudor Submariner to the French Navy and professional divers for decades. In the late 1990s, Tudor stopped selling and marketing to the North American market. From an article I read in the New York Times, the Tudor brand suffered from a perception problem. Being sold mostly through Rolex dealers, the watches looked so similar with significant price differences, a rebranding and redesign was necessary. In 2012, Tudor re-entered the North American market. They introduced a very important model that helped re-establish the brand dramatically and put Tudor back on the map. They released a Tudor Black Bay 41 with burgundy bezel and snowflake hands. These initial models were released with ETA movements. The design had a vintage dive watch inspiration with larger modern dimensions. The second version was released in 2016 with an in-house movement. 7 years later, Tudor's released this latest version, which is also a good prediction of the direction that Tudor is going. This newest Black Bay 41 launched with the burgundy bezel, and it's expected to release in additional color options in the future. The case is 41 millimeters wide by 48 millimeters lug to lug by 13.6 millimeters thick, and it weighs approximately 155 grams. The lug width is 21 millimeters for strap changes, and it's 200-meter water resistant. The crystal is domed sapphire, and the bezel slopes to the sides of the case with more aggressive coin-edge sides, making it easier to turn than previous versions. The crown is signed with a polished Tudor rose, and Tudor improved the grip, making it easier to unscrew and work with. I'm so impressed with this dial and bezel combination. One thing I'd been curious about when the details of the watch were explained was the sunburst finish that they advertised on the dial and how it would look. If they didn't say it was sunburst, I'd have no idea. It's so muted, but it adds a little more to the gold coloring on the markers. The darker tone of gold on the gilt dial with the burgundy is so rich looking. That's what attracted me to appreciate this watch from the start. I've always been lukewarm on the snowflake hands. Replacing the second hand with the lollipop tip works for me. It draws less attention from what the rest of this dial gives you. The markers and 12 o'clock pip has great lume. They have a cream-colored faux patina look to them, and it glows nice and bright for hours, as you can see here. As many have said, the burgundy bezel is so hard to represent in photos. It's more of a red burgundy. The darker shade of it stops short of being too loud, and it's red enough to give it pop. The action on the bezel is smooth like my Submariner. It's like turning the combo lock on a high-end Vault. It impresses me more because usually 60-click bezels tend to have a more rigid feel. This one is smooth. The thickness of this bezel is perfect, and I'm very happy with the overall finish. The top of the case is satin brushed with chamfered edges and polished on the sides. The back of the watch is also satin brushed with the screw-down back case and minimal etching. Thinning out the watch made this wearable on more wrists than previous versions when a lot of people complained about the thickness. The complaint is now eliminated, yet there's still enough chunk to it which will satisfy most. The 3-link Oyster-style bracelet is solid and comfortable. It's 21 millimeters at the lugs and tapers down to 16 millimeters at the clasp. T-Fit, of course, is a welcome addition, but unfortunately, like my Black Bay Pro before it, the length of the T-Fit is shorter than the length of a link. So I ordered a half link from Uncle Straps. My issue is when my wrist swells on the most humid days, it's just slightly too snug. So if I added a link, it would be too loose. The Uncle Straps half link perfects it. Now, a lot of people complain about the faux rivets. I don't have an opinion on it. They don't stand out or distract at all. I guess it goes along with the vintage design hand in hand with the faux patina on the dial, which I have preference for on models like this. It works great with the gold and burgundy. The automatic caliber MT5602U master chronometer was another upgrade to the Black Bay 41. It's METAS certified and rated to be accurate to within +5 seconds per day, and it should never run slow. Mine's been consistently plus 3 seconds per day. It's got a 70-hour power reserve and advertised to be anti-magnetic up to 15,000 Gauss. I'm personally glad manufacturers are paying attention to that with the growing amount of technology that exposes watches to magnets. I'm going to add the guidelines of the METAS certification in the description below. Now you can see the test results of METAS certified movements, and Tudor made it easy to find by tapping the warranty card on your Android or iPhone 7 and later, and your phone will deliver your watch's info and METAS test results of your watch. Now here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist. It sits flat on my wrist and doesn't move around a lot. It's not top heavy, and there's good balance in the weight of the bracelet and the case. The taper from 21mm to 16mm gives you plenty of flexibility when bending your wrist. You forget you're even wearing it throughout the day. The longer clasp also keeps it in place, and there are no sharp spots that dig into the wrist. Comparing it to my 41mm Submariner, the size is similar. The back case and curved crystal has it sitting slightly taller on the Tudor. It's got a bit of a bulkier feel on my wrist. The sub sits a little flatter. The sub has more adjustment with the glide lock, so I can adjust that no matter how much my wrist swells. On the weight side, I think the 904L steel on the sub is slightly heavier than the 316L steel on the Tudor, but that may also be the way it sits flatter on the wrist. I'm also happy that Tudor stayed with the aluminum bezel. Not every modern bezel needs to be glossy ceramic. With the way the finish of aluminum mutes the reflection, ceramic would have been a distraction from the dial. The ceramic on the sub, on the other hand, complements the high gloss on the dial, and the white around the dial and lume stands out. Both of these watches are perfect for what they are. So that's it for my review of the Tudor Black Bay 41. If you like this review, please click the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of future reviews. Please also leave a comment below on what you think of this watch. I love hearing your thoughts. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at DougFNJ. And visit DougFNJWatches.com. I'm an authorized dealer for LumeTech watches. Use discount code DougFNJ for 15% off. Also, special thanks to Brad at Brent Miller Jewelers for hooking me up. I'm also going to put a link in the description with the discount code from Uncle Straps for the half link. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Be safe and have a great day.